Skylab has many purposes. One of its primary ones is to show us how men will react to long-term weightlessness. The first Skylab crew will be weightless for 28 days for their mission. The second two crews stay in the vehicle for 56 days apiece, a total of 140 days of weightlessness. The orbital workshop of Skylab consists of two separate decks. The upper deck is primarily an experiment area, the lower deck primarily a habitability area. This large open hatch allows the astronauts to move from one deck to the other. They're completely weightless, of course, and in order to move from place to place, they would press away from the wall with their hand or bounce their feet on the floor and would float to where they wanted to go. Of course, they do have no weight, but they do have mass, and it's therefore possible for an astronaut to be hurt by bumping into a wall if he's not careful. But they will be very careful, you can be sure. This is an astronaut maneuvering unit. The astronaut gets on here, secures himself with a seat belt. The controls are for the hands, and it's possible for him to fly this little propulsion unit around inside the room by small jets. Someday these will probably be used outside the vehicle for extravehicular activities. This is another maneuvering unit which is somewhat like a motorcycle. This is the saddle, this is the handlebars, and it's flown with the feet. These are the little four-way jets that propel it around in flight. This is an airlock. This is a mock-up only, of course, and will not open, but the real device will open. A camera can be put in here, and it will photograph through the wall of the vehicle and out into the vacuum of space. This is one of two experiment airlocks on the vehicle. This is a power-driven rotating chair. It's used to test the astronaut's sense of orientation and balance. Behind us is an electrical switchboard used to control much of the electrical circuitry in the vehicle. And over here, a lower body negative pressure device. It's somewhat like an iron lung in principle, except this has a vacuum inside. A man puts his lower body in there, his back on this table, the diaphragm closes around his waist, and when the vacuum is exerted inside, it makes the blood flow from his torso down into his legs. When the pressure is released, it flows back. This device is called an ergometer. It's a bicycle-like piece of equipment that provides both exercise for the astronauts and also is able to evaluate their metabolism. The astronaut gets on the ergometer, a mask goes on his face, his inhaled breath and exhaled breath are captured in this device, and it checks his metabolism, as well as providing exercise, of course. This area is called the wardroom. This is the food table. Each astronaut has a place at the table. These are food trays, somewhat similar to food that's served in airlines, and each astronaut has one of his own. There are no chairs, but in order to keep floating away in the weightless environment, the astronauts use this stirrup restraining device instead of a chair. Water is metered out through this device, which has a hose on it in the real device. It can be squirted into the mouth. This window shows the Earth all the time, and it has a shade if the shade's needed, but the astronauts are able to see the Earth throughout their mission. Each of these cabinets is for storage of certain supplies that are needed, and the entire room is covered with cabinets. We also have stereo music here on tape cassettes that give the astronauts their choice of music. There are books, games that can be played using the dining table, and a little place for relaxation and change from the work routine. This is the waste management area, or bathroom, and it's completely equipped for all the astronauts' necessities. This is the toilet. It may appear to be in an odd position, but in weightlessness, remember that there's no up or no down, so it could be on the ceiling, the floor, the wall as it is, or anywhere. The fecal material is saved, vacuum dried, and brought back to the Earth for analysis. Now, we have a means of disposing of trash on board. We can't throw the trash outside the vehicle because it would get in the way of the telescopes and experiments. So we have a trash disposal airlock. It can be opened, material to be disposed of put inside. It's closed, locked, and that throws the material down into the big tank below where it's accumulated and kept. Each astronaut has a private sleeping compartment of his own. It even has a little door on it for additional privacy. He sleeps in a bag that's on the wall, hangs like an insect in a cocoon. And he's completely protected. His arms are held in restraint so they can't float around in weightlessness. He has a communication unit here so he can talk to the other astronauts and even to the ground, to the control stations. And he's rather completely equipped.